Okay. Sangye jodang zoge zonam la chancho bandu dane kyapson che dage ze zoge be sonam je dola benche sangye do ba sho Sangye jodang zoge zonam la chancho bandu dane kyapson che dage ze zoge be sonam dola benche sangye do ba sho Sangye jodang zoge zonam chancho bandu dane kyapson che dage ze zoge be sonam je dola benche sangye do ba So yeah, Teba, so Samba. So I think there are certain aspects of the teachings that we need to consider in the method of this practice of Thösam Gomsum, because, like I mentioned earlier, Thösam Gomsum is a method that can be used in any form uh, with any teaching, and it's sort of like a general outline of how a practice should happen. And the practice, just like I mentioned the last time, without hearing, there is no contemplation. Yeah, without contemplation, there is no practice. So this is a one to one. But whether you need to contemplate everything at once before you practice, or whether you need to hear everything at once before you contemplate and you practice, that one is not necessary. It's always one after another, but then can be any time, right? So within practice. Within, for example, within the path and the ground and the 10 bhumis and the tantric path, there's always nyenja nyunja, like one after another. This the practice always happens in every stage of the bhumi. There's hearing, there's what is it, analytical contemplation, and then there's also practice. And then after practice, then there's a stage where you actually come out of the practice or come out of meditation, and then you go back to listening or contemplating, and then again you go into meditation, and then contemplation, meditation, contemplation, meditation, like that. So that's why this one, the method, like I said, it's always very, very not exact, but then the follow path is similar. Few things I think that are quite important in regards to um, receiving teachings. We have different forms of receiving teachings, right? One of the methods, we say oral transmission. Um, Oral transmission, in the sense of the practice of hearing, Tuba. Oral transmission, I think, uh, is a lot to do with blessings of the speech. So I think maybe in Tibetan scriptures, when we memorize before every scripture, every text, like we memorize the, what do we say, the root text, the three root texts, and then we also memorize Tangye Lekshin Yingbo. Tangye is what, clear ornament of clear realization. Deodensa, I think, yeah, Deodensa. Then Tangye Lekshin Yingbo is what. Valid and not invalid, but validated and uh, what we say, processive teachings. There's also the text in regards to that. So anyway, so every text that we memorize and we study, at the beginning there's always Yagarketu. Jagarketu is mentioned, is saying like in the Indian scripture or in the Indian words. So the name of the text always mentioned in the Indian words before we study in the Tibetan. And I think maybe also nowadays, now that it's translated into English, I think the same thing happens. So you say Jagarketu, then you say like Jagarketu, what's that? Uh, Ngondo again, right? So we say Jagarketu, uh, what do you say? Abhisamaya Alamkaran, Motanya Paramita Upadesha or something like that. And then you have in Tibetan, then you mention in the Tibetan word the name of the text, and then in the English word also you name the text. So these ones I think it has to do with the lineage, shows the clear lineage of, sort of like a clear lineage of where the teachings come from, or what words were used to contemplate the teachings. Another thing is, I think, in regards to respect, we when we were young, we were taught to respect the writing form of writing, or the form of words. And the reason is because without these great masters creating language and creating written language, then the teachings could not be passed down in written form. So just as a respect for that also. So um, in regards to that, of course, and then again, another thing is in regards to oral transmission is that the lineage is passed down from master to master in words. So also to maintain the lineage of the thing there, then for therefore oral transmission also important. So when we were studying here, we would say, oh yeah, uh, you know everything is recorded. In those days we had tape records, so all the teachings, everything, all the philosophy classes, they were recorded on the tape record. So we could stay at home and we could listen to the tape as many times as we want. But then um, one thing that happens is the blessings don't get passed down on tape recordings. Yeah. So it's good to we say it's good to go to the teacher himself and receive. So that time I had three philosophical teachers. My main philosophical teacher was the previous now. I'm in Sera at the moment, and I just met my teacher, Gandhi Rinpoche, Lobsang Tenzin. He was the previous Gandhi Rinpoche. I think he had come to Santa Fe one time also. Um, and anyway, I used to go to him every day for philosophical class. And then the other one was Gyeng Sangye, very, very well known. He's the abbot of Gyudo now, which is not Gyudo, Gyume, the Tantric college in South India, and very well known. And then also, of course, Tsangpa Khamzeng and Thapke. So these were three of my philosophical teachers. And one of the reasons why we went to the teachers, even though the teachings were so available online, is because there was a very, very strong, um, uh, what we say, lineage thing, where we believed, okay, when you go and receive the lineage from word to word, from mouth to, from mouth to ear, then there's blessings in regards to that. So one of the reasons why the wisdom hearing, when it comes to the wisdom of hearing, then oral transmissions also become very, very important, because you actually receive the blessings of the lineage from where the teachings have come. During Within philosophy and during philosophy, one of the main topics that we debate is, once we bring out a topic and we debate on the topic and we come to a conclusion, then one of the method is, after coming to a conclusion or agreement, then you always need to go back. Within debate, you always need to go back. It's like what is it? It's like law, right? You trace back where the initial teaching or initial was. So we always come to the conclusion of tracing back where the teaching comes from and what the teaching was. So every topic we debate, you go back to the form of where, uh, in which text or in which teaching of the Buddha, the Buddha mentioned that specific topic, and how and what was mentioned. So that one also, I think, in regards to oral transmission, also important. Uh, because of the blessings. I think one thing that we have very, very strong belief and faith in nowadays is in blessing of what we say, uh, saja. Saja is like place. So a lot of people go for pilgrimages, yeah, and they go to certain places where their gurus or where the teachers resided or were, and they feel energy, they feel blissful, then some of them they cry, then some of them, they meditate, and then they sometimes they can, when they start meditating at these places, Bodh Gaya, I don't know, if you are Lama Zopa Rinpoche student, then of course Kopan, where Rinpoche's holy body resides. So you go there, you meditate. Sometimes, you start to, things start to click inside the mind when it comes to teachings, And these are, of course, very, very specific blessings that we receive in regards to transmission or lineage, right? And then, of course, it has to do with faith, our own faith as well, our own, what we say, devotion and faith as well. So these things are important, I think, when in regards to, the practice or the wisdom of these practices, Tesam Komsum, yeah, Teba Samba Komba, yeah. In regards to Tepa hearing, then there's blessing in hearing. And then in regards to Samba meditating, there's also blessing in meditating. So some people, you listen to 10 hours, talk, blah, 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 and nothing goes in, and then nothing to contemplate. Yeah. But then some people, they only use one, two words. But then it makes us think, it makes us contemplate, it makes us realize things, it makes us change our ways of doing things. So again, there also, like I said, whether it be devotion, whether it be faith, or whether it be, how our mind perceives, there's also such effects, and these effects are important, especially in the terms of blessing, receiving blessing. These terms are effective when it comes to the method of hearing, practicing, hearing, contemplating, and practicing. So another thing to consider, of course, would be that. And then I think we did go through scriptural studies and all of that. Another thing we need to be very clear in regards to receiving teachings and contemplating and practicing is in regards to what we say, proper, uh, proper teacher, proper student, and proper teaching. These three things become extremely important in this practice. Without proper teacher, we don't receive proper instructions. Without proper instructions, even we can't contemplate the proper method. And without contemplating the proper method, then practice of the proper method doesn't come. So these also very, very, very important, right? So I think today, I think I'll touch a little bit on this because I think this is the core of all practices, uh, very closely related to Guru devotion. But whether uh, uh, how we want to practice differences. So this is one thing. So in regards to that, first thing, I think when it comes to Guru devotion, I always say there's a huge, huge, huge difference between devotion and obedience. Yeah, never mistake between devotion and obedience. Obedience is sometimes we think, oh, I'm devoted, therefore I need to be obedient. This is not the case. Yeah, within, if you study within Lamrim, if you study within the teachings of the, what we say, of the fulfillments of the masters, yeah, what do we say, uh, um, according to the scriptures, yeah, these methods uh, are very, very clearly mentioned in the teachings. So maintaining, what do we say, these things like, what do we say, there are things like traditional qualities, ethical qualities, and then of course knowledge qualities, and then of course abilities as well, and then again on top of that the additional qualities such as authenticity, of the speech, authenticity of the practice, or the authenticity of the lineage, so on and so forth. And then of course in qualities, the 10 paramitas that we had in regards to how, the sessions that we had in regards to 10 paramitas, these also become very, very important qualities of teachers. Then there's also what we call red flags, right? So warnings and red flags that we need to consider in regards to that. Then of course, now times changing, moderate times, modern times, methods changing. So again, we need to very, very clearly consider timing as an essential way of considering what is right and what is not right. Then, of course, on top of that, in regards to relationship between the teacher and the student, not relationship like that, but like father-son relationship within the sutras. I mean, the Buddha always mentions the sons, or the daughters. The reason why I always mention the son and the daughter is because relationship, especially in the spiritual relationship, I think relationship has to be like, father son, like mother and son, like daughter and father and mother and daughter, like that kind of relationship. So this is also mentioned. And then of course, in regards to that, there's boundaries, and then practical guidelines for students, and practical guidelines for teachers as well. And then in regards to the 50 what was it, the 50 verses of Guru devotion, in that I think also very clearly mention how a teacher's behavior should be within the was Lamrim also very clearly qualifies qualified teachers, what the qualifications of the teachers are. Then also in the Vajrayana context, there's also very clear mentions of all of that. So nowadays, a lot of teachers, when they're teaching, they always mention the qualities of the students, never mention the qualities of the teachers, right? So there's always that as well. You're a good student, but then if you don't have a good teacher, then there can be a big, big, big issue, especially in regards to your practice, because your practice is going to be reliant on the teacher. So the qualities of the teacher become very important. What do we say? And then there's of course things that we need to avoid in in the relationship, of course. And then basically, based on that, I thought we would cover these three things, because these three things are very, very, very important. Yeah. First thing, in regards to faith, I tend to mention that faith in Dharma practice, in the Buddhist method of Dharma practice, faith is necessary, but faith is necessary only in the realms of the humans, and only in the realms of the Aryas. These are the two realms where faith is necessary. Beyond the realm of the Aryas and the humans, if you go into the Bodhisattva practice, or the path of the Bodhisattva, or if you are in the Bodhisattva path, then faith becomes a little bit less useful. Then you proceed onto the path of enlightenment, then faith pretty much gone. Now it's all contemplation, it's all practice, it's all conviction. Yeah. For some people, of course, conviction comes through faith, but then that takes the longer route. There's a word. What do we say? Um, Karsa. Rikpada gawe dupda kilana mao pa tsimi ki umiring wisher. Rikpada gawe dupda is tenets, right? So if you follow the tenets that are against logic, against contemplation, then the one who's practicing tsimikyu mirungwa. Tsimikyu means what do we say, a fully realized being, yeah. So you cannot become a fully realized being if you go against the method of uh, against the valid tenets, right? So if you don't follow the valid tenet method of the validation of the tenet, then you cannot achieve. So it's mentioned in the teachings of the Buddha that this contemplation method has to come from valid tenets, right? So this is why valid tenet becomes important. So, uh, in regards to that, I think one thing student and teacher both have to come to terms with is that uh, we cannot rely just on faith to become enlightened. We cannot rely just on faith to become bodhisattvas. We cannot, definitely cannot rely just on faith to become enlightened. Yeah. Another thing Buddha has mentioned is as a uh, every person has their own responsibilities, right? Every person has their own responsibilities. Unlike Chizo is those who believe in creators, right? Creator God, someone who takes full responsibility. So in that case, then you say, okay, I give you free will, and as long as you follow my instructions of the free will, then I will take responsibility for you, right? So this is the method of the Jizo method of the practice of the ones that believe in Creator, because the Creator, even though he gives you free will, then he takes away the half of the free will by saying, you need to follow the instructions or the methods that I teach. Otherwise, your free will, I'm not going to take responsibility for your free will. And my responsibility for you following your free will, but not in the right way, would be sending you down to hell or something like that. Right? But then if you consider that a little bit illogical in some sense, the logic process is that even though uh, there's free will, it's not Chizo, it's not the creator that has the aspect of being able to perform the methods of the what we say of the process. So the method of the process, because we believe in cause and condition, because we believe in impermanence, not believe, but because we see very clearly the what we say, the contemplation of cause and condition. You can research, you can like I mentioned, like Buddha mentioned, uh, just because I'm a Buddha and I teach, it doesn't mean that you need to follow. You actually need to contemplate and research, and then if you find it useful, then you use, right? So similar to that same, I mean, based on that mentioning, you can already see that the contemplation method is taught. Contemplation has been done, and through that contemplation, then conviction comes, and through that conviction, then practice, and that's where you achieve liberation, right? You don't achieve liberation by faith and by reliance. You need to rely on yourself for the practice. So another thing that is mentioned in the text is, if Buddha mentioned, if I could liberate all sentient beings, then I would. Why would me having compassion, having the enlightened mind, leave you all stranded in samsara? Right? So if I had the ability of the creator God, and if I had all these as a means to liberate you, without you having to work, or without you having to take responsibility for your own karma, then I would. Because there's so much compassion. We talked about compassion. What we say, the what we say, the outlines, the definition of the compassion we talked last time. You already see that within that definition, so much aspect of the definition has to do with how we feel. Because when we feel within our hearts, the what we say, the inability to stand by and see others suffer, right? That one is very strong within compassion. Compassion is basically that, is when you look at others and you can't hold it, you say, how can I just sit around like this when there are people and animals and beings suffering in samsara? Therefore, I need to be able to understand the method of liberation right now, so that I can help others, be liberated. So when you have that kind of feeling, just you can meditate, you can think, you can contemplate, right? If you had that kind of insight, a very strong feeling insight, where you can actually feel the words, where you say to yourself, I cannot bear seeing others suffer, then how will you just sit around, right? So basically, in the verse of the compassion, Buddha has mentioned, with very, very, what do we say, heartened feelings, that if he could have liberated, if he has the ability to liberate all sentient beings right now, I would do it right now, because it is unbearable to see animals and beings suffering in samsara, in hell, right, in the cyclic existence. Unbearable to see that the ignorance is leading people in this circle of samsara over and over and over and over. Unbearable. Yeah, truly unbearable. So if it's so unbearable and he had the ability, then of course, why would he not do it? Right? So this is very, very, for me, I thought this is very strong, like awakening call, right? Method has been taught. And then the second verse mentions, I'm a guide, right? I can guide you. That's the best I can do, because karma uh, can be changed, but it takes very, very long to change, from having to, having to convince, having to do all of that. But if you can build up what is conviction, then liberation, the method to the path to liberation, your own process starts to happen. So because we are strong, what we say, strong, is there a word for convinced people? Convinced. Yeah, I don't know how to call that. Mm, so if you are someone who has very strong, if you're very or someone who is convinced, then we start to follow the method, right? If you are convinced that the method to make a lot of money is through, what we say, through investment, then that's when you start to invest. if you if you're not convinced that that's the best method, then you don't invest, right? So same thing, right? The only method to real liberation is if you are convinced in the method of liberation. And convince doesn't come through faith. You cannot have faith and be convinced, right? So again, a little bit contradiction in regards to how normal practice happens. I think I mentioned, in the society, Himalayan societies, where we have a lot of traditional, cultural impact. Buddhism has strong traditional and cultural impact. Then a lot of people very strong faith, but then when it comes to that conviction part, not very strong. So you can see very clearly, uh, when there's a teaching from a Lama, then you don't see many people from the Himalaya regions attending. But then when there is Tsewang is long life initiation. When there's initiations and all of that, then packed. Everyone is there. They're hustling and bustling to get the small blessing strings and the blessing that and the blessing pills and all that one. They strive. They work very hard to get. Um, so anyway, I think these are important aspects of what true practice is, right? True practice doesn't come from receiving blessing pills and eating blessing pills and believing that this blessing pill is going to liberate you. It doesn't happen from that. True aspect comes from true conviction, and true conviction comes from the very core feeling within yourself that the method of liberation is in this way. And through that, we see that we take responsibility of our own cause and condition, the karmic aspect that we rely on. And this one, I think, for a lot of people, they think this one doesn't give them freedom. If I believe in God, and then God, I say, okay, God would liberate me if I have faith in Him. And this seems to be a very easy way, or a easy method to be, to sort of like right. but in but in reality, that there you're completely reliant on something, someone, or some external, what we say, external impact or something like that. Then from how I think, I look at it and I see, there's no freedom in that. uh, Complete freedomless. Of course, less work, but then no freedom. you know But then if you think from the aspect of understanding karma, I always explain karma like you need to seek when you want to know karma, then you need to know how karma works. And karma works. The example that I give is always what with the child play doh in your hand. You are grasping the child's play doh in your hand, and based on the movement of your finger, then the karma also changes. The shape of the play doh changes in your hand, and you realize that you have the ability to change that. Those that is full freedom, real freedom. You can create whatever shape you want, right? So I think that aspect important method of understanding how karma actually works, and how it actually gives you more freedom than reliance on jito. So that's one thing. Then so that's why the reliant on the proper teacher, on the proper teachings, on and on the proper method of practice is important. And for all of that to start, then the proper teacher is very, very important, right? So, Thesam Gumsum, Thepa, hearing, Samba, what do we say, meditating, and no, Samba, contemplating, and Gomba, meditating or practice, fully reliant on that in some aspect. Of course, within the path and the ground, there are different aspects. Some are Rangyawa. Rangyawa is, oh, I'm going to search for my own liberation, and I'm going to liberate myself. I'm not going to rely on anyone else or anything else. And they go into practice, right? Solitary, what is solitary realized beings, they call it. so, so solitary realization can come, but it doesn't liberate you, or it doesn't take you to the path of enlightenment. The path of enlightenment has to go through the bodhisattva path, has to go through the the path of the reliance on the teacher, not reliance on liberation, but the method of liberation, right? On the instructions of the liberation, reliance on the guide, as Buddha mentions that he's a guide, he's only a mere guide. So on that reliance. So because these all of these grows through the aspect of the teaching or aspect of the teacher, then there are proper examinations from the from the student side, a lot of examinations that you need to give the teacher. Nowadays, oh, well known, big name, big fame, then good words, that's good enough to be a teacher, but in reality not good enough at all. Um, I like to think that when you get married, when you go and get married, then your partner, you need to good research in your partner. Some people nowadays, modern world, you get to know a girl or a guy for 2 3 months, then you fall in love, then all of this lovely lovely, ooh, then the treating is good, then the experience is amazing, then they get 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, they get married. Then you start to see reality after 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, you start to see reality, because what we see at the beginning is not reality. You want to convince someone that there's a lot of acting, there's a lot of playing, there's a lot of pampering, there's a lot of, you don't show your bad side, they don't show their bad side. so so the relationship after 1 year, then divorce, and then another relationship similar to that. Then after 1 year, again divorce. Then same again, same like samsara. We call her samsara. You already see the cycle there, exact same cycle happening there. So that's why if you want to choose your partner, then you need to know the partner in and out, especially the mental state. If you're okay with the mental state, if you're okay with the character, if you're okay with the behavior, if there's, no one's perfect, so if there's imperfections, then you need to learn to be okay with the imperfections, and those are the ones, relationships that actually last, right? There's coordinates, there's mutual respect, there's, then there's the relationship last. So the same thing happened, I think, from guru and student relationship. the examination has to start from each one's side. Teacher examines the student. Student also needs to examine give examination to the teacher. So examination, I think, the first process. In the scriptures, as mentioned, at least 12 years for examination. At least 12 years. This is mentioned in the scriptures. uh, so so it takes a long time process to actually um, and build that relationship. Yeah. The longer you know the person, the better you know the person. The better you know the person, the better you are. You can you can coordinate with the person. The better you can coordinate with the person, then better the relationship. So same thing in the traditional teachings. Not traditional. I mean in the what do you say? Ancient teachings. They mentioned at least 12 years to examine the teachers. Then, of course, uh, observation over time is one of the main methods of what we say examining. Yeah, carefully observing. So this is also good practice for awareness, right? So carefully observing the what we say the method, the way he behaves, the way he talks, the way he does things, the way he thinks. So these are important aspects of what we say of um, giving examination to the teacher. Then I think through the process of carefully observing over time, then we always follow ethics and morality. Yeah. So ethics and morality comes in many senses. One ethic and morality is in the modern context. We understand uh, you should not kill. The five, what you call the five precepts. No killing, no stealing, no lying. And this is a very basic. This is like anyone. This one doesn't matter if you're a teacher or if you're whatever you are. Everyone has to follow those kinds of things. Then, of course, if you go deeper into that, then what we say, holding on to ethics and ethical means and moral ways of doing things, of behavior, of speech, of all of that. So that's also important, right? So that what we say these things, what we say, gradually develop. And once you start developing that over the time of the period, then what grows is trust grows. Yeah, trust is a very, very, very important aspect of holding on to relationships. Yeah, you need trust. If you have a partner and you cannot trust the partner, then a lot of problems arise, right? But then, of course, before developing the relationship, then you say, okay, worth trusting or not. So that one is the important part. I think the important part of the examination is seeing whether it's worth trusting or not. Then once you have developed the trust, then of course it becomes more smooth, right, to develop. So um just I think just like the Buddha mentioned in regards to his teaching, where he said, you need to check by burning, by that, by this, by cutting, by rubbing. So this is important, I think, qualities of the teacher. The basic qualities of the teacher has to be through the qualities of the paramita, right? Uh, if you do not live by what you teach or what you preach, then your teaching is in some ways questionable. You need to learn to live the practice. The practice is not like I mentioned last time. The practice is not when you come into the gomba, or your, what do you say, your puja room. uh, I mentioned last time, practice doesn't happen in the center. Practice happens in your daily life. Yeah. So if you are practicing only when you come into the center, then when you come into the center, your hands are folded, talking nice to people, then you do puja, Then you go outside, you're in the traffic, you're screaming, you're shouting, you're cursing. Not practice, right? so so same thing. I think in regards to the teacher, he has to be able to perform this on a very on a he has need to perform his what he's preaching on the daily basis, not on the daily basis in the center, but on the daily basis of his own life, his own ways and method. We say live the what do we say live the teachings. And this one, I think, for me, even though mentioned in the teachings a lot, for me, Gyabjen Lama Tudan Zopa Rinpoche was one of the prime examples of living what you teach, living what do you say, living the what you preach, yeah, living up to what you preach. Rinpoche, no matter time, no matter place, no matter where, no matter who, always in the aspect of practice, uh, from the beggar in Bodh Gaya all the way to the what we say to uh, the kings that he met, the kings and the what is the ministers. See the same aspect of how he lives his life of practice. So, of course, now it can get a little bit complicated because now you have what we say people around the teachers that involved in shady things, that is, nowadays a lot of that. But then still, whether the teacher, it's not the people that are around him, but it's the teacher whether he lives. So important aspects of this one is doing the research, giving the time and doing the research in the master himself, whether lives up to what he preaches. So that's I think important. Then qualities mentioned in the Lamrim Chemo. Uh, uh, there's physical conduct, ethical qualities. So if I give you some of the examples that are mentioned in the Lamrim, then we say well disciplined. Yeah, well disciplined is an aspect of practice itself. Yeah, if you want to live up to what you are preaching, then you live up to well, you're well disciplined in the practice that the teacher teaches, or that the Buddha teaches. Not everyone can live up to the bodhisattva's way of life. Not everyone can live up to the tantric way of life, but at least human, we need to be human decency, right? Human decency is one thing. We look at nowadays, you look at a lot of controversies inside the aspect of these traditional teachers. Big names, yes. Maybe previous life also very, very, very amazing. Um, then they recognize the reincarnation. Then ethical conduct questionable, very, very, very questionable ethical conducts. How they then excuses another thing again. Everyone likes to use excuses. Uh, we are not here to what do we say? We are not here to prove to each other who's better and who's best. That is not the Dharma way. Dharma way is not to sit here and blame others and prove to others that this is not the Dharma way. A Dharma way is to live up to the Dharma, right? So therefore, if you are against, I mean, if you are not performing in ethical means, especially as a human being, human decency, then very, very questionable, right? So uh, things to be aware of, I think, especially in modern times. Everyone taking excuses. Oh, he did this and that. Oh, because he's a practitioner in Tantra, and what do we say, the mad practice or that or this. There's all kinds of strange names that they bring out nowadays in regards to how to perform. Uh, One thing I believe very strongly is, of course, there have been masters that were a little that use controversial methods too. Like look at Marpa and Milarepa, for example. Marpa tortured Milarepa for more than 12 years. It made him make a nine-story, I think it's a nine-story or six-story building, and break it down and then build again and break it down again. And this is very, in modern times, you think that this is very unethical. But then it worked for Milarepa, right? And it was not in the way that a lot of the things that are being now. One thing is consideration, right? I think one thing is consideration. If you have the ability to see the future, and if you have the ability to see the past, then you also have the ability to realize what how it will impact things. So if, for example, if right, if a teacher does something questionable, and that impacts a lot of people in how they believe, how they think, how they proceed in a bad way, then that's questionable, right? Whatever means is utilized to teach the student a certain practice, just as Marpa did to Milarepa, the it didn't affect anyone. This is a very strong, I think, strong consideration that has to be there. And nowadays we have social media. The world has become very small. So from the teacher side, I think very strong consideration in how the effect is being, how the effect is going to happen. That has to be there. So yeah, so discipline, I think this is one very important part. Discipline meaning you follow what you preach. Yeah. Then, of course, patience, like we mentioned, patience is a very, very, very important aspect of teaching as well. Without patience, you cannot teach. If you are an impatient teacher, then you cannot be a teacher. So, so that is an important part again, is that the teacher has to be very patient, very calm. Yeah. Uh, if you want to help others, if you want to help animals, it's like teacher. We, like I said, in the teachings, always mention the teacher is like the father and the mother, and the student is like the son or the daughter. That's why always in the teaching mention the son of this and the daughter of this. This mentioned there. So if you just imagine, if you have a kid, a small kid, and the small kid is very spoiled and very emotional, and there's a little bit hard, then the parent needs to be very patient in order to be able to guide nurture the kid, right? So exactly same, there's no difference, exactly same. So calm demeanor or patience, extreme quality. Lama Zopa Rinpoche, I think, a very good example when it comes on. You already see it in the name Soba. Soba means patience. So Kyabja Lama Thupten Soba, uh, patience is already there in the name. But then it's not just the name. I mean, Rinpoche always teaches on patience. And then it's not just the name and the teaching, but he lives. He lives the life of a of patience, right? So that is important, you know. Mm. So of course that one. Then how you are acting in front of people also leaves impact on people, right? So that also, I think, your presence, how you present yourself, that is also important. It's not just important in Dharma, but also in what do we say, modern worlds nowadays, outside, what do we say, uh, presence, how you present yourself is important, right? So same thing applied in Dharma as well. Presentation, how you present yourself, how you live your presentation of yourself is important as well. Then of course, one another teaching that is taught all the time is mindfulness. So if a teacher is not mindful and he's teaching mindfulness, that is questionable again, right? So again, examination in mindfulness also very important. And uh, what do we say? Uh, 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 and then of course, what do you say, these things, all of these things that are mentioned, example is a very important aspect of teaching, right? So if you are a teacher and you are teaching a certain thing, then you being the example of what you teach is very important. So that again, another thing, whether the teacher is living up to the example of what he's teaching or not, that's also important. So just a few of the more important conducts in regards to in regards to our teacher. This one, how this one impacts, how this one impacts the practice of Thesam Gomsum, by hearing, what is Samba, contemplating and practice, is because Thurba is hearing, and Thurba comes from someone. Yeah, when we hear something, the first thing, if I hear, oh, this tea is very good, what is the second thing you do? Is you taste, right? If I say, oh, this tea is very good, and you say, oh, okay, this tea is very good, then that's not real practice. And this is just hearing and repeating. It's like parrot. I say, Om mani padme hum. Then the parrot repeat Om mani padme hum. This is just like a parrot. So first thing when you hear, oh, this tea tastes very good. Then the second thing what you should do is you should taste it, right? Once you taste it, then you say, oh yes, you are right, it's good. Oh no, 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 it's not good. I don't like it. It's too much salt, too much that, too much this, too much sugar. And this one is relying on taste. So that's why if you if you if you want to work in a tea shop, then you need to be someone who knows how to make the right tea, right? Someone says I have diabetes, you need to know how to make the right tea for someone who has diabetes. If you say I'm what do you say, I what do you say, I don't like strong tea, then you need to know how to make light tea. If you say, okay, I need strong coffee, then you need to know how to make strong coffee. So similarly, as a teacher has to know these things. Yeah, otherwise why a teacher? If he doesn't know these things, then why make him a teacher? If you don't know how to make all of these different teas, then you cannot be what do we say, tea maker in a tea shop. Right? So again, if you consider someone as a teacher, then that teacher has to be well qualified in knowing what is the right tea for for the right student. Yeah, that one is a strong aspect of a teacher. So living up to the example, and this is just like I said, there's just a few of the more important aspects. Much more. If you have time, then maybe you should read the Lamrim. Many qualities of the teacher that the teacher has to have is mentioned. Then, of course, in regards to ethical qualities, maintaining what is it, pure moral discipline. Yeah, like I said, morality and ethics is rooted in all of our practices, not just one, not just two, everyone. Yeah, we don't like people who are not moral, who are not ethical. Then how can you agree to a teacher who's not moral and who's not ethical? This is basic, like I said, basic human instinct, right? If you have someone who killed someone living next to you, then you fear. Yeah, if you have a rapist staying next to your house, then there's fear. Yeah, if you have an abuser staying next to you, then there's fear. So if the teacher is a rapist and non-ethical and non-moral, then fear should be there. And if you have no fear and you're still following, then that's questionable. That's not the teacher's fault. I think that's questionable for the student. Whether, like I said, if you have a killer staying next to you and you are not fearing, then is that person in the right state or not? He has a killer living in his house, right? And still he's okay with it. Then the consequences can be dire, right? So we are people who contemplate cause and conditions. We look at the conditions and then we predict what's going to happen. So if either you don't have that ability, if you don't have that ability, then is another thing. But if you have that ability, then you live up to your ability, right? You use those abilities to see what is right and what is wrong. Yeah. So maintain pure moral discipline is important. And then of course following what we say the instructions, especially in regards to dharma, then the instructions of the vinaya is very very important, right? If you take novik vow, then living up to the novik vow is important, and if you cannot, then giving up novik vow is important. um, Questionable things nowadays is uh, people who are in ropes than who are in relationship. Questionable. If you cannot live without relationship, then you offer your vows back. This is very outlined, right? This is already there. Then, in the traditional sense, uh, maybe traditionally and culturally is a different thing. Maybe I don't understand culture and tradition so much, but if you look at a lot of countries, especially in the Himalaya region, a lot of those, then Bhutan, in the Indian Himalaya region, in the Nepal Himalaya region, there are monks who wear robes, who go to puja, who do all of that, but then who have family, who have kids, who have the this representation of the robes is completely all over the place. So that's again questionable, right? Ethical, moral, whether living up to Vinaya or not. And then you sit there and because we debated on Vinaya, so you sit there and you ask them Vinaya questions, they have no answers to the Vinaya questions. So again, questionable, right? If you're a follower of the Buddha and you follow the Vinaya of the Buddha, then you need to understand the Vinaya of Buddha as well. This is why hearing is important. If you don't hear, if you don't practice in the concept of hearing to begin with, then you have no contemplation. And if you don't have contemplation, then you start doing things in the all over the place, wrong means and wrong methods, right? So again, if that is there, then implementation of the right method is important. So that one is there. Then of course demonstration is also important. Yeah, like I said, it's not just living up to the teachings, you also need to demonstrate so that people can get convinced, right? If you want students, then you need to convince the students. If you want people to invest, then you need to convince the investors to invest in your company. So exactly same thing. You need to convince people to practice. How are you going to convince people to practice without what we say without demonstration, right? So demonstration is another thing. So if again, moral method is through demonstration as well. So kindness, compassion, love, living up to morality, application of the three principal aspects of the path. And not just that, but in regards to wisdom and knowledge, right? Student is someone who wants to learn, right? Um, if you don't know ABCD, then you can't be an English teacher. Bottom line, right? If you don't know mathematics, then you can't be a mathematics teacher. Well, there's this funny video, I think, um, in Nepal or India or somewhere, a government school, and there was an English teacher, and then she was writing on the blackboard, teaching. Uh, so the inspection, inspection people come with the video and they inspect. So the people inspecting, they wrote FUTURE on the blackboard and say, what is this, to the teacher. And she's supposed to be the English teacher, and she says, she doesn't say future, she says future. FUTURE, future. So then you already see the qualification is not there, right? You're not qualified to be an English teacher because you don't know English. So same thing, right? This is why demonstration is important. So if when you follow a guru, in the sense when you follow the method of the listening, what a contemplation and practice method, then qualification is important. And for that qualification is not qualification in the modern terms where you have degrees and all of that and papers to show. It's qualification, inward qualification, right? You live up to your practice, and that happens through demonstration. Right? Make sense? So yeah, so that one, of course, that is there, and then of course through that demonstration, then living up to again the teachings that that Buddha preach is important. So that is out, I think, bottom line of all of this. um, I think one very good example of practice is Pema. Pema is a lotus. Yeah? You can see lotus everywhere in the Buddhist traditional and cultural, and from the text and the scripture everywhere. This lotus is everywhere. The reason why the lotus is everywhere is because it's born was uh, the muddy place, very dirty, muddy, pond, smelly, but then the lotus grow out, and out of that, beautiful. So of course our judgment cannot be the way we judge normally. We have to give that kind of aspect of understanding, but then again, that growth has to be there through the application of this Thösam Gomsum, right? And for that, you need the good methods. So um, again, I think application of this just as an example. And then when it comes to knowledge, I think knowledge is a must. Yeah, thoroughly versed in the what we say the three baskets of teachings. Yeah, what did they say in Tripitaka or something like that, they say. So well versed in all of that. Then deep understanding uh, of both theories and practice. Yeah, it's not just theoretical; it's also practical as well. So application, like I said, without application, then sometime I also feel that in the monastic system, you have very in Buddha's time, we didn't. I don't think Buddha took in 5 year, 6 year, 7 year, 10 year, 12 year into the monastichood, monkhood. And those days, it was everyone who came was challengers. They came, they challenged the Buddha in debate, and they challenged the Buddha through questions. And when Buddha convinced them, yeah, his method was the right method, that's when they started following him. And nowadays, we have traditionally bring in small kids from all over the world and put them into the monastery. A little bit questionable whether that's right or not. But then it's a systematic traditional way that it turned out to be like that. Um, but again, I think what to say, deep understanding in both theoretical and practical is important. So yeah, that one. Um, then again, another quality is in regards to simplification and complex, right? Simplification and complex. We have the three scopes uh, regarding practice. We have methods regarding practice, and then also mindsets regarding practice. So practice is never a challenge. We never challenge it when it comes to practice. Another thing that happens a lot of days nowadays, oh yeah, I have done 300 this, you have done 300 that, I have done 1 million this, 1 million that, you have done 1 million this, 1 million that. Oh, I've done I have 10 gurus, you have 5 gurus. All sounds very it sounds like a joke when it comes to dharma. Practice has nothing to do how many gurus you have. Practice has nothing to do with how many times you do or not. Practice is all inside, deep inside, engraved deep inside, in how you are turning your cause and conditions, how you are, turning your ability to mold your karma in your hand. That's practice. It has nothing to do with how much count you are doing, or how much. So this aspect of competition is very destructive when it comes to real dharma practice. So one thing to consider again, if the teacher if the teacher are teach if the teachers are fighting within themselves in regards to how many students they have, that is questionable whether that, whether that is the right method or not. So again, something to consider. Um, ability to to be able to make complex things simplified, and then ability to make simplified things complex based on the student's mind, yeah, so that the student can understand. So the whole teaching, yeah, the 84,000 teachings of the Buddha, all the way from the what was the samsaric teachings, worldly teachings, all the way up to the tantric level of the teachings to the method of enlightenment, you already see that the complex and the simplification is like this. So I always say Dharma can be as simple as you want it to be and can be as complex as you want it to be. It's reliant on your mind, how Dharma, how Dharma is initialized. If your mind is very complex, yeah, if you are a philosopher and you need bits and corners and points and everything, there's this student, one of the students, I think is one of the cousins of Buddha, Devadatta. His name is Devadatta. He was very, very, very complex, amazing philosopher. And not just amazing philosopher, but he was one of those I know it all sort of person. So he was, I think he was one of Buddha's biggest challenges when it came to fully bringing him into Dharma, because it took him his whole what is it? It took him his whole life to get into the point where he said, okay, I agree to what you say now. That what you say makes sense. Because every corner he always trying to find something, his mind is not happy with something. so, so, like I said, complex, and for some people, okay, compassion is the best method. Oh yeah, that makes total sense. Phew, clicks like that. So if you are someone who's, if you're looking for or for guru, then this is one of the what is qualities of a guru, is to make things as complex as your mind is and to make things as simple as your mind is. If you cannot do that, then hard to guide also. Yeah. So that's, I think, another quality. Then I think one thing from my own experience in regards to Gandhi Rinpoche, my teacher, is that in Dharma, studying never stops. I think when I was in Madhyamika class, fourth year of Madhyamika, I was like, I think I've learned enough. 7 years of Paramita, 3 years of Dura, then 4 years of Madhyamika. I think that's enough. Then, so I went to Genla one day and I said, enough. I just want to practice what I've studied, and the rest, I don't care. Maybe I'll start thinking about it next time. So Gela looked at me, because Gela always, in when I go in the morning to study at Gela's place, Gela is always in front of his in sitting in his table with this huge text in front of him. The 84,000, what is a Yumgididusum is a Gela always flipping through the pages of the 84,000 teachings of the Buddha every day. And that time maybe Genla was 80 something, early 80s, late 70s, early 80s, I don't know. And then I said, Gela, I think I've had enough memorizing. I had enough studying, because I just want to do what I already studied, because no practical application, no none of that. So studying, just studying, sort of like useless. The Gela looked at me and laughed. And he said, "Look at me. I'm 80s. I think 80 something. I don't remember the exact age, but he said, look at me. I'm already this old, and I'm still studying." And he had this huge, thick book like this, the long Tibetan text in front of him. So studying always continues. Yeah. Even when your mind is enlightened, studying still continues. So that is, I think, an important aspect of practice as well. That the continuity of the study is always there. The continuity of application is there. And then you think, oh, you are a Buddha. Now nothing to think about, nothing to apply. Just go out and teach. which is not true. Yeah, Buddha is always studying, always contemplating. That process is always there. So Tesam Gomsum is always there. Milarepa, even after he reached enlightenment, I told you last time, one hand is on his one ear, and the other ear is always up listening to Marpa's teaching. So no matter how learned, no matter how validated, no matter how much degrees you have, the process of learning always has to be there. So another thing to consider in regards to the qualities is that the continuity of the study is always there. Um, you, all of the masters of the past, you look from Nagarjuna all the way to, even His Holiness, if you see His Holiness's video, the daily life video, then His Holiness who want getting up, doing his exercise and all of that, and his morning prayers. Then after that, he's studying, and no stop in the studying. So we take those as examples. Yeah. Then what time is it? Okay, no problem. So in regards to that, again, something that we need to consider is these other qualities. So more than that, then we have teachers according to, what we say, the teachings have to be accordance to the student's capacity. Again, this is a very, very, very important point. One problem that I have nowadays, teachers going around throwing tantric initiations and teachings all over the place, like, what do we say, like, in the what is it, in the music videos, they throw money like this in the air like this. So teachers going around throwing tantra teachings all over the place like this is questionable whether that's doable or not. um, so again, like I said, teachings has to be in accordance with the student's capacity. Then the skillful means is always there, and like I said, skillful means are applied in order to benefit people, not to discriminate, not to put them down, not to make them feel hurt, not to traumatize them, right? So if it's traumatizing you, if it's putting you down, then it's questionable whether it's skillful or not. Yeah, I don't think traumatization is the result of skillful. I think traumatization is the result of non-skillful. So so again, considering, skillful means, these things come into the aspect. Then of course, uh, in regards to teachings, uh, what we say, being able to what we say, to present the teachings in a very clear method, also very, very important. So this is one of the reasons why I say, if there's teachers coming to the centers, then there should be sessions where the students can ask questions, because things have to be clear. If something is not clear, then you need to make it clear. Yeah, doesn't matter what it is. If something is not clear, then you're not learning. Yeah. If I write on the blackboard the method to achieve, what is it, to prove string theory, and you look at the blackboard and you copy it down, that's not good enough. You need to understand how the method actually works to understand string theory, right? So same thing in Dharma, also the exact same thing. So that ability has to be there. I think question should be asked, and there should be answers in regards to questions. If a teacher is doing something wrong, then everyone is afraid of asking questions. Oh, maybe I shouldn't ask questions. Maybe that, maybe this, maybe not the right thing to do. Yeah. So this is why, what do you say, devotion and what is the word I used? Difference between obedience and devotion. Yeah, uh, Lama Tsongkhapa and Jise Rendawa, perfect examples. If you read the scriptures, if you read the philosophical scriptures, you see that Lama Tsongkhapa was very naughty, because he always debating against Jise Rendawa's, what do you say, Jise Rendawa, whatever Jise Rendawa put down, Lama Tsongkhapa say, oh no, no, Jise Rendawa is wrong. You see, he's trying to prove this from this method, which makes no sense. This is not what we say valid. This is not valid. Things like that. So, so that is the thing. But then when it came to devotion, amazing devotion. This one can be proved by the verses. We have the verses. What is it? Uh, what is it? mikme tsewe techen jerisi. Dimeki me ombo jambe nubo male jumse kanchi kebe tsuge tsonga balosan tabe shalas. Actually, this verse was offered to Jise Rendawa by Lama Tsongkhapa. This is not a verse for Lama Tsongkhapa. It was the verse for Jise Rendawa. And then Jise Rendawa accepted the verse, changed the word. Yeah, kanji kebe tsuge tsonga ba. Kanji kebe from kanji kebe Jise Rendawa to kanji kebe tsuge tsonga ba. Changed the verse, and he offered it back to Lama Tsongkhapa and said, our what do we say our connection between guru and disciple is so clear that you deserve it more than me, and he offered it back to Lama Tsongkhapa. So here you already see that the connection between the devotion is unmatchable. But then when it came to when it came to debate and all of that, Lamas go all over the place. When it comes to Jizir and what he said, Lamas always disagreeing. When I first started my philosophy with the Genla here, Gandhi Tirumuche, he taught me how to disagree with him. When because in the debate you always need to prove something and debate and disagree with something, right? So you are scared, your teacher, you're scratching your head and you don't want to, you don't want to disagree. Then Genla say, you get up. This is the way to debate. Then when I say this, you need to disagree to this. When I say that, you need to disagree to this. And when I say like this, then you need to ask me to prove this. Things like that. So this is a method, I think. Yeah, clear. Right? So devotion, obedience, completely different. So then again, qualities, genuine. I always say three qualities that are very, very, very essential in practice: genuine, sincerity, and unconditionality. So when it comes to teachers, then when teachers is based, the name teacher is based on the student. If there's no student, there's no teacher. So the quality of genuine, sincere, unconditional has to apply towards the student. So the teacher side has to be genuine, sincere, unconditional towards teaching the student. So these are qualities that a teacher needs to have. Then not motivated by, of course, nowadays everyone's motivated by worldly gains, not motivated by worldly gains. Of course, worldly gain is a side thing that you can achieve, but then not to be fully motivated by that, right? Then, of course, kindness, love, compassion, right method of teaching, right method, being able to utilize to nurture is important. Using heart to nurture is important. So these, again, qualities. I mean, there are many, 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 many qualities of the teachers. If I keep going on, it will be on and on and on and on. But anyway, I think these are some of the more important ones that we need to consider. So in regards to that, uh, uh, then again, when it comes to practice by the students themselves, then there's proper timing, there's proper place, there's proper teacher, proper teaching. Then of course, attitude, what is the proper companions when you study. These are, of course, as application, these are important, right? Then distinguishing between what do we say, information and consumption of the information, how you want to utilize the informations to practice. This one coming from the student side. um, then you have deep learning, surface learning, integration, then accumulation. Yeah, everything nowadays, only the focus is different, but how you want to focus always changes in regards to the practice. So integration, again, how we want to integrate the practice. So these are all mentioned inside Lamrim Chimo, also mentioned inside Gushala Mishalong, also mentions inside Vinaya. These are mentioned everywhere throughout the teachings of the Buddha, right? Qualifications. Then was where experiential understanding is another practice that we need to be able to apply. Experience, we learn much more clearly. Our conviction becomes more stronger through experience. Then practical applications, practical approaches. Then we say then reflection. Yeah, reflection is another thing. So discussion, reflection. Um, uh, then also another thing, we can go deeper next time. Maybe I think going into doubt and skepticism. Yeah, how doubt and skepticism, you can utilize doubt and skepticism to be utilize the method of hearing, contemplating, and practice. Then, of course, in regards to how we learn nowadays, then interactive sessions are important. Um, uh, so yeah, something like that. What time is it? Uh, any questions today in regards to all of that?
I have a question, if I may.
Please, please, please.
Thank you. Thank you for today. I'm curious, you said earlier that the Buddha would have, if the Buddha said if he could do it for us, he would. So he would help everyone. And when we make this aspiration to become bodhisattvas, so that we can help all beings reach enlightenment, we would still be in the same boat. We wouldn't be able to do it for anyone. So how would we then help others? I know you
Good
said
question.
he could guide, but what could we do? We're aspiring to do this. What can we do?
Yes.
What could we do?
So, in regards to teachings, methods of teachings, um, at the end of the day, it's our ability to, not our ability to, like I said, I mean, like it's mentioned, right? If I could reach into your head like this, take your mind out, clean it like this with a brush, put it back in, that one no one can do, right? Same thing with the brain as well, right? You take the brain out, plug out all the unnecessary things, put it back in. So this is what I meant when I meant what I meant. I mean, this is what Buddha meant when he said, I cannot take control of the actions and the mindset and the views, perspectives that you have. This is all within ourselves. Karmic implants, we call it, right? Uh, so karmic implant, karma, this is fully in our own control. Cause and condition, fully in our own control. But cause and conditions can be conditioned, right? So if I'm willing to let you change the design of my room, I can. And so this is, I think, the aspect of teaching. Um, the qualities of the Buddha. When you talk about the qualities of the Buddha has many, 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 many ways of powers, means of impacting. But sometimes because our mind is not ready, is not willing to see, then the impacts are less than expected. So we say so some people, they have very, very hard time realizing. We can put, what was the guy's name who had apple fall on his head and then realized gravity or something like that? There's one guy, right? uh, Isaac Newton. Is it Isaac Newton? Yeah.
Yes,
Yes, am
I
I
think so. Yeah,
right? Yeah. So
I think that's right. Yeah.
so so just like Isaac Newton, realization of gravity only came after the apple hit his head, right? And then the apple hitting his head may be different conditions. One is the condition of the wind, one is condition of the apple being, what do we say, ripe, right? If it's not ripe, then it doesn't fall down. So different conditions happen, and then the realization happens. So these are methods that the ability of the Buddhas that they can utilize. Once you reach Buddhahood, you can utilize uh, what we say. You can utilize environmental changes in impacting people's realization or helping people to realize things. So there are, of course, if you've reached enlightenment and you have attained the four kayas, then you have these abilities. You can utilize these abilities to help people, make faster, get them to move faster on the path, move faster towards enlightenment. That one definitely there is that. Another impact that Buddha has left. You see, 2,600 now, 700 years still, and the teachings are still alive, right? So the main utilization of being able to guide others to enlightenment is through teaching, is through guiding, and that is something that we aspire to achieve. So, and then another thing very important to all of that is the mindset. So the whole reason why practice is important is to develop the mindset. If you don't have the mindset to develop, then you won't help. You don't want to help. You can't help, right? If I am stuck in my own world where I have physical conditions, I have emotional conditions, I have financial conditions, if I'm in a mess, then how am I going to give time to others? How am I going to give financial help to others? How am I, and if I cannot speak, then how am I going to give financial advice and spiritual advice to others? So these the whole idea of helping, the whole idea of developing, the whole idea of bodhisattvahood is
If you, yeah. So thank
yes.
you very much for your answer. The bit that you got to, which then I couldn't hear anymore, the whole idea of bodhisattvahood is to, that's what you
Oh,
were saying at the time.
oh yeah. Sorry. So yeah. So the whole idea of bodhisattvahood is to create the right conditions for you to be able to condition others, right? Mm. Without you having the ability. So if I give you one example, would be, I think this was a good example. uh, I use my phone data in regards to do this session. So uh, so if I created the right conditions, then I put the right amount of data into my phone, unlimited data, which I didn't. So now, because of that, then the connection lost, right? So now I rely on Wi-Fi. So something like that. So you being able to impact others comes from your conditions as well, right? So if you are in samsara yourself and you are suffering, and like I said, you don't have enough to eat, you don't have enough to spend, your ability to help others goes down, minimizing that ability to help others. Whereas when you have the right conditions, all of that, where you don't have to worry about all of that, and then you have full, what we say, ability in all of that, then your conditions to help others in so many different ways is grown much more, right? Then also aspect, like we talked about, the aspect of learning and the aspect of teaching and all of that. So in regards to information as well, more information, more ability to teach, the more ability to teach, the more ability to utilize as well. So at the end of the day, whether someone is able to, what we say, guide you through the practice or not, is reliant on their ability of guidance. So if their ability of guidance is not there, then you cannot guide someone, right? So the whole idea of the bodhisattvahood, I think, comes down to that, where you are creating the right conditions to in order to guide others. So same thing, guiding others is giving information to others, that you have the freedom to choose, the freedom to utilize your methods, utilize uh, what was it, the true nature, the true reality of how things are, understanding utilizing the ultimate truth in order to give people the idea of the ultimate truth, and utilizing means and methods. Hello, can you hear?
Yes, you can hear, but it went a little. It went a little
Yeah.
different. I think it's
So
back.
uh,
Yeah,
it's
it's fine.
okay. Yeah. Okay, so utilizing these methods in order to help others only comes from you building these things, right? If I don't create a center, then people coming together in the center to learn, that is not, it doesn't exist, wouldn't happen, right? And then the conditions to come together have to come together in the sense, like if you look at Lama Zopa Rinpoche, if you look at TNL, for example, you already see that Lama Zopa Rinpoche was like prime, what do we say, prime source of where people got the motivation to help to build the center. And at the center again, people coming together to help that, so you sort of like a combination of cause and conditions. So how we create our cause and conditions in order to make an impact on the world is in our hands. And the method to impact people is taught by the Buddha. Does it make sense? Something
Yes,
like
thank
that.
you very much. Thank you.
Mm,
Miss Peng had a question in chat.
mm. In basic program Tathagata model, we learned that virtues can only arise from the enlightened activities of the Buddha. This is very similar to Christian. Do you think the Christians see God as an external eternity and surrounded themselves to the will of God? Similarly, a lot of Buddhists also see the blessing of Guru. It is eternity. There's no difference and again no freedom. Hence, this is your advice for us as Buddhists who sincerely want to practice with more wisdom. What was the question? Activity of the Buddha is similar to the Christian teaching, don't you think so? Christians God externate and surround themselves to the will of God. Similarly, a lot of Buddhists. Yeah, I think we are very modern, modern world, modern Buddhism. I think this is what I was trying to explain when I said in traditional and cultural sense, it has ended up to become something like that. As a layperson, your job is to go to the temple and pray, and that's it. If you pray in the temple, then your prayers will come true. You pray to the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, then your prayers come true because then the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas will grant your wishes. And then the prayer that you go and the praying or the prayer that you go is, oh, good health, good family, a lot of money, health, wealth, prosperity, as they say. Uh, um, we impact things in the way that we see, and the thing that we are very good at doing is we are very good at convincing ourselves in certain things. We are good at convincing ourselves that the Buddhas have the ability to what we say, to get us out of our financial debt, to get us out of our financial problems, to get us out of our health problems. There's all of this. Initially, yes, of course, uh, and because he has the ability to do that, that's why he utilized the ability, which is teach. He taught us. 84,000 teachings is there available, and he said, okay, so he cannot get rid of the karmic aspect of things. Karma is on ourselves. Cause and condition is in ourselves. If I throw a glass, it will shatter on the ground. Yeah, unless it's not glass. Nowadays, plastics that look like glass, very strong plastic that look like glass, and this is what's happening. We think, oh, we make whatever we want, we think whatever we want, we believe in whatever we want, and then if you believe in something, then it will come true. It's not about believing, it's about creating the conditions. I sit in my room with my mouth open like this, and I believe Buddhas and Bodhisattvas will feed me. Not going to happen. Yeah. If I want something done, if I want a house built in front of me like this, and I sit there and I just wish, pray, house built, house built, not going to happen. I need to create the conditions, right? If I want it to happen, then I take steps in order to make it happen. This is the reality of things. This is how cause and conditions work. I create the conditions. So uh, I don't know how to put it down in exact form, but similar belief systems are coming together. This is happening already, just like mentioned here in the question. You know, when you have Almighty, yeah, the word Almighty. Uh, this one, the word Almighty already shows that the full extent amount of power is already there. So it's not in our hands, it is there in the hand of that Almighty to make things happen. And with that belief, then that's where all the prayers and all the, then we say, okay, but there are conditions. The Almighty, the full Almighty power there, it can only be triggered when you flip the switch. And the light will only come on when you flip the switch. So you need to flip the switch. And the flipping the switch is done by faith and belief. So you say, okay, now faith and belief. Then when things don't happen, then the answer would be, oh, maybe not in this life, but he's there. Next life you don't have to worry. Next life, what happens? Who knows? No one knows, right? So these are very essential things that you need to contemplate, of course. A lot of contemplation. Yeah. In regards to deities and what we say, protectors and what we say, kandos and all of that, nagas. These are worldly beings themselves. All worldly beings themselves. Yeah. His Holiness mentioned in the monastery you have one one statue of the Buddha. Then that one everyone just walk by, do like this, bound their head, then they walk out. Then they inside the monastery, then there's another room, protector room. Then in the protector room, then you are covering your mouth, then you're very respectful. There's always mentioned that it's not the way to do, right? Real the whole guide is Buddha. Yeah. Our dependence on too many different things and too many sources that claim to have so many abilities and that and this, which are very questionable. The real abilities in the teaching, 84,000 teachings of the Buddha. This is what we need to check. And this is authentic. I'm saying this is authentic because who comes out and says, check what I said and see? If I'm an accountant and I have full faith in my account, then I can say, okay, I've done the accounting, I give it to you, you check it, you see it, and you decide whether it makes sense or not, or whether it's right or not. Would you believe an accountant who does that, or an accountant who sits on the side not showing you the accounts that he did and says, yeah, I'm right, I've done everything? So this is the concept, I think. For me, I feel like because it's out there, it's laid outside. You can contemplate, you can ask questions, you can debate, you can do all of this. You check when it's laid out so clearly as that. You should be following that instead of deities claiming to have this ability and that ability and this is nowadays a lot of worldly beings like that. This is why reliance on the right guru is also important. Yeah. Does I don't know. Does that make sense? Weijing? Make sense? No? Yes? Yeah? So our ability is to condition our karma, condition our aspect of karma, condition our methods. These are what we have the ability in. The methods and the conditioning, how to do the conditioning and how to do the method, that is in the teachings. The rest of the things, protectors in the early days, khandos and sumas, khando and suma, they're like what do we say, wandering beings with certain types of abilities. They had no interest in liberating us. They had no interest in all of this. Then Guru Rinpoche comes by and Guru Rinpoche subdue all of them, give them good beating, as we say. Nyandag, we say, right? in the in the in the what is it, in the traditional way. Some people, they have spirit harm. Then when the spirit, not spirit harm, but spirit influence or something like that, the spirit go into their mind, then the person is not the person, the spirit becomes the person, sort of thing. Then we have one teacher here, Tarishati. He's very famous in chasing away these spirits. so so when sometimes when monks have this problem where the spirit interests the monk, then the Tarishati comes and ties him onto the wall and beats the spirit up. Then the spirit shouting and screaming and crying, "Please don't beat me, I'll leave him alone." So this Guru Rinpoche famous for that. He's very good subduer. He go around subdue all of these, these khangdos and these sungmas and these all these things. Have you watched Journey to the West? The Monkey King? No? Ah, you should watch that. Anyway, something Guru Rinpoche did something very similar to the story in that. And Guru Rinpoche travel around all of these places, and there was all these demons and spirits and beings in those days, all kinds of Nagas were also one of them. Then in that also the monkey and the teacher with the three students, they go and they subdue all of these beings. They bring them into the Dharma. So same thing like that. So the protectors, a lot of them now, Yidam, Suma, completely different. Yidam are protectors who are manifestations of Buddhas. Right? So like Hayagriva, these are Yidams. Yidam Tamding Hayagriva. Yidam is manifestation of a Buddha. So already a Buddha. But you have all these other protectors. These are all subdued beings. Kangdos and all of that. These are all subdued beings. So then nowadays, I think we had this issue with the Shugden thing and all of this. Same thing. Protectors that are gone rogue, that they're trying to pull their own following, sort of thing, not following the teachings of the Buddha, and making themselves like a what is it, Jizos, like almighty, you know problem. Buddha never claims to be almighty. Buddha never claims to have all those, things. Qualities are there, but the qualities are very specifically in conditioning. Yeah. Not in the sense that he touches your head and everything disappears and you become enlightened. Not that kind of quality. The qualities are conditioning, because cause and condition is the basis of true reality. Nyejung, renunciation. When we first talk about renunciation, the first thing we talk about, one reality we talk about, is the reality of samsara. And this one we already can see is no difference. Like I said, relationship, these are already something that we see in relationship nowadays. 1 6 month date, marry, then after 1 year break up. Again, same thing. Samsara. So, all of these things we already see fact. So these realities are taught in many different levels from, in the three principal aspects of the path. So the first reality, samsara. Second reality, true nature of conditioning, cause and condition. Where does the ultimate the ultimate truth, the view of emptiness comes from? The view of emptiness comes from understanding dependent origination. This is the source. Dependent origination is the source to understanding true reality through the sense, through the perspective of view of emptiness. That one again, if you chase that, how do I? Okay, how do I develop the understanding of dependent origination? Well, it's cause and condition. Then how do I understand cause and condition? Samsara. So this is very lined up, very clearly lined up. So ultimate realization comes from that essence. No, this one you can check, you can experience, you can meditate, you can contemplate, you can check. Then abilities are there. Yes, yes. Some people have this ability, some people have that ability, but this ability, that ability is all these abilities are, what do we say, momentary conditioning abilities. You cannot achieve enlightenment by those abilities. If someone claims to give you, like Jesus Christ, quite amazing because he has ability to heal people. He has ability to heal the blind, to make them see things. But this is, what do we say, this is temporary conditioning, and it can help you get enlightened, yes, because now you see, you can read. When you read, you can contemplate, so on and so forth. Right? So this is temporary conditioning. Yes, of course you can rely on these things, but how can you get full enlightened mind? I mean, you cannot say just because it made me see, then I achieve full enlightenment. That one is not there. So reliance, full reliance, not good. Temporary reliance, maybe if you have some money issue, then you don't have time to practice. So now in order to make time to practice, and then you need money, because now then you can pray to, like, the what is the god of wealth or something like that, and maybe they can help you a little bit in making some money, or then you have more time to practice and more time to concentrate on full liberation, true liberation. So that one is there. Yeah. So that's why in the, what do we say, Kyapsum, in the, what do we say, refuge, very clearly explained uh, what the method of refuge, taking refuge. So don't take refuge in all of that. You can use them. Yeah? We say in Guru Rinpoche time, Guru Rinpoche used to have all of these beings, these sungmas and these khandos, and like protector dogs on the leash. He kept all of them on leashes. Here was one Khando, here's one Sungma, here's one Naga, all of them on leash. Then he throws a scrap of food and he uses them in order to create condition help. Then he say, okay, I give you this food. Now you go and protect this village so that the people there can practice safely. Yeah. So yeah, anyway, makes sense. I think help, right? Okay, I think we stop here now. Time. The next session, then today I sort of like included all of this because this is a very, 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 very essential understanding when it comes to how you want to connect uh, the wisdom of hearing, contemplation, and practice. And these things connect to all of these aspects of understanding teacher, understanding the teachings, understanding right method, right view, right aspect. So these are important. So that's why today include this insight. Um, then next we go into contemplation. Then maybe we can do a little bit more debate in regards to contemplation, how to contemplate, what to contemplate, what methods we use, and all of that. Then last session, practice. Practice, then I think what is now a little bit more easier. So we talked last 3 months in the sessions. We talk about the paramitas. We talk about what is it? The three principal aspects of the path. We talk about all these different levels of practice and all of that. So practice, I think, mostly goes in that also. But if you have anything that where we can go deeper into, then of course, definitely we can go deeper into all of that. Yeah. You're good. Okay. Thumbs up. Thumbs up is good. Okay. You all have a lovely weekend tomorrow. Then I'm flying back to Nepal tomorrow. So next time I see you, I'll be in Nepal. Then a lot of dedication, prayers from Sarah to all of you.
Thank
Okay.
you.